Welcome back, everybody. Well, heart disease kills about 1 in every 5 people, so it's time we make sure we're prepared with the facts for prevention and treatment. Dr. Kohli is here to give us all the info. Well, we want to dive into the world of heart disease, and who better to talk all about it than our favorite cardiologist, Dr. Kohli. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, so let's talk about heart disease and why early detection is so important.
So statistically speaking, Danny, all of us in the world are most likely to die from heart disease. #1 killer of men and women, US and worldwide.
Okay.
So it sounds really tragic,
Yeah.
but here's where the power comes in. 80% of heart attacks and strokes are preventable, according to the American Heart Association, with the right risk factor management, lifestyle changes, and making sure you're living your best life.
Okay.
So even though it's looming on the horizon, it's something that we have control over, something that we can change.
Yes, something that we can do about now versus trying to deal with it later, which is great. So are there ways that we can tell if we have heart disease, if it's cropping up in us before going to the doctor or without having any symptoms? Like, how can we tell that we're getting to that point?
So this is really important because, a couple of decades ago, we used to wait for heart disease to declare itself.
Right.
And then we used to think about risk factor management, getting people on the right medicines. Now the approach has become more proactive.
Okay.
We get ahead of it. We look for disease. So even in people who are asymptomatic, of course, the blood test, the cholesterol, there's a genetic marker of risk called lipoprotein A that 20% of us are walking around with elevated. That puts a huge target sign on you.
Wow.
It's 6 times as toxic as cholesterol,
Okay.
our blood sugar, our blood pressure. But there's also a test called a calcium score.
Okay.
So that's a quick x-ray of the heart that tells me whether or not you already have plaque deposits or cholesterol deposits in the arteries around your heart.
Okay.
And it's really recommended for people starting at the age of 40. And if you think about it, when it look for breast cancer, we do mammograms, we actually look for disease. When we do look for colon cancer, we do colonoscopies, we look for disease.
Yeah.
So with heart disease, why are we not looking for the disease?
Right.
By screening people? Why are we just guessing based on blood tests and what have you?
Yeah.
So this has become the new paradigm in preventive cardiology. Calcium scores, lipoprotein A, cholesterol, blood sugar, blood pressure, and you have a really good sense of where you're at.
Wow. Okay. Well, I want to talk to you about when we want to walk through those doors. You said 40 years old is when we want to do the heart scan, calcium score.
Yep.
When should we be doing everything else? Or is there a point that we need to say, hey, maybe this is my time?
For some of us, even in our 20s.
Okay.
So most people, I would say, in your 20s, getting one lipid test is a good idea. If you have a strong family history, we will even screen teens and kids.
Wow.
Actually, because there's many conditions that can raise your cholesterol sort of genetically.
Okay.
And 75% of our cholesterol is genetically determined. The kind of volume on our cholesterol is set largely by our genetics, not so much by what we eat.
Sure.
And we can start putting down plaque or cholesterol deposits as early as our 20s. So
Wow.
arteries are born nice and clean, and then by our 20s, we already have plaque. So looking earlier, if you have a family history, for the average person, definitely by 30, 40, you need to start meeting with a cardiologist or your general doctor to talk about risk factors.
Okay. Well, we want to get ahead of this, obviously, before 40. So how can we prevent? How can we, make sure that we're doing the right things?
So there's American Heart Association has a wonderful website called Life's Essential 8.
Okay.
And it says if you do these 8 things, you can really make that 80% statistic work for you.
Wow.
And what I want you to do today when you
Yes.
get home
Okay.
is actually go home and calculate your Life's Essential 8 score.
Okay.
Because you put in your individual, and it's got sleep in there, it's got exercise, it's got, your weight, it's got your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, kind of all the factors that we want to optimize.
Wow.
You put it in that calculator and it spits out for you a personalized treatment plan as to what you can change to optimize yourself on those sort of different axes. But the really nice thing, like I said, if we're moving, if we're eating right, we're avoiding toxins like, smoking and alcohol, and we're managing those risk factors, we can completely change the trajectory of our heart disease train so it ends up at a whole different destination.
Amazing. And we really have control over this, guys, if we look at that essential score right there. Well, Dr. Kohli, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for helping us stay heart healthy. We appreciate it.
And report that score back to me.
I will. I absolutely will. Thank you. All right, keeping us heart healthy. Well, make sure to email us your questions for Dr. Kohli. Just send your message to mycoco@9news.com and put Kohli in the subject line.